Made on Zencaster.
Because Zencaster makes every stage of the podcast production and distribution processes so easy. Hello, and welcome to Fit for My Age, the health and wellbeing podcast from Abeceda. I'm your host, Michael Millward. Today, I am learning about intimate relationships in our senior years from Dr. Larry Waldman, the author of Silver Sex: Insights into Senior Sexuality, which means we are dealing with an adult theme, so please listen discreetly. Dr. Waldman is a licensed clinical forensic psychologist. Dr. Waldman is based in Phoenix, Arizona, in the United States. If I ever get the opportunity to visit Phoenix in Arizona, I will make use of my membership of the Ultimate Travel Club to make all of my travel arrangements. That is because as a member of the Ultimate Travel Club, I get to travel at trade prices on flights, hotels, trains, holidays, and so many more travel-related purchases. You will find a link with a built-in membership discount in the description, which will enable you to become a member of the Ultimate Travel Club and, just like me, travel at trade prices. Now that I have paid some bills, it is time to make an episode of Fit for My Age that will be well worth listening to, liking, downloading, and subscribing to, and probably want to share with your friends, family, and work colleagues as well. Very importantly, on Fit for My Age, we do not tell you what to think, but we do hope to make you think. Now, hello, Dr. Waldman.
Yes, hello. Glad to be here.
I'm very pleased that you are here. Thank you very much. It's a very interesting subject that you've written about. What do we say? It's a subject that not many people really want to talk about, do they?
As a matter of fact, you're right. Here in the States, at least, senior sex is frankly frowned upon. That's one of the comments I make in the book and talk about it.
Yes.
If you see a couple and perhaps the gentleman appears a little older than the female, many people are just kind of shaking their head and thinking, well, this isn't right, and so on.
I'm interested, before we do that, in finding out a little bit more about your career as a forensic clinical psychologist. What do you do as a forensic clinical psychologist?
As you said, I worked in Phoenix, Arizona, and for the first 20 years of my practice, it was pretty traditional. And after a while, I realized that, I'm paying my bills, but that's pretty much about it. So I felt I needed to do more, and that's when I pivoted, if you will, and did some reading and consulting with other people, and got into the legal consultation area, or the forensic area. I started with family law, did quite a bit of work in that arena, and then moved on to personal injury work, and that was very rewarding. I helped a lot of people, because a lot of people who had injuries of one sort or another were not getting completely compensated, and I made sure that those people did. Yes, their car got fixed, or maybe their time off from work got repaid, and things of that nature. But the mental part.
So you're making the assessments about the psychological impact of being involved in some sort of incident, like a car accident, actually had on the person who was making the claim for the insurance.
Yes, and then doing the treatment,
right,
and then writing a report that effectively lets the insurance company, if one's involved, know that this person has been harmed. I had people who, let's say, had an auto accident and they couldn't drive after that.
Yeah.
Or couldn't drive at night, or couldn't drive on the freeway.
Yeah, all sorts of issues.
Exactly. So that, in other arenas in the legal world as well. I became a legal expert, if you will.
Okay. Sounds
Uh,
great. Sounds really interesting. Now, of course, you're writing lots of books on this subject. Well, we're going to talk today about Silver
right,
Sex Insights into Senior
right.
Sexuality, but it's not your first book. What are the other books that you have written?
I've written actually eight.
Hmm.
It started back in the late 80s with the first one. The books kind of follow my career. So the first one is entitled Who's Raising Whom? And in that, I teach parents to basically manage their children like a psychologist would.
Right.
That book has been quite successful. The second one, which kind of dovetails from that, is entitled Coping with Your Adolescent. I like to say if you haven't read the first book, you're certainly going to need the second one.
We were all adolescent at some time, weren't we?
Exactly. The third one was my marriage book, if you will, entitled How Come I Love Him But Can't Live with Him? Marriage and how to make them work and how to make them better and so on, things to do and not do. The fourth one was Too Busy Earning a Living to Make Your Fortune.
Right.
That again was about the pivot point that I was talking about. So I was writing as I was investigating, making a change. I was writing about it as well because I saw so many clients who were stuck
Yes.
in a job that they didn't like, but they were too afraid to
Yep. Another problem.
go elsewhere. And yes, it was frightening, if you will. I mean, I stopped taking insurance and things of that nature,
Right.
and ventured into other areas. Following that, I wrote a book primarily for mental health providers entitled the Graduate Course You Never Had, and this was about how to develop, manage, and effectively market a private practice. This book has been very interesting and successful as well because I've now branched out to not only speaking about this to mental health providers, but to attorneys, for instance, and basically other professional service providers. Later on, I did a book entitled Overcoming Your Negotiophobia. I did this with a colleague of mine who was a business analyst.
About negotiation techniques.
Right, negotiation techniques and how we live our life, if you think about it from that perspective. I mean, we're negotiating with our spouse, our kids,
Hmm.
our boss, our co-workers, the car salesman, et cetera, et cetera.
Everyone.
The second last book, again pertaining to the legal work that I was doing, is entitled Love Your Child More Than You Hate Your Ex. That talks about the family law work that I did, by that time, almost 20 years.
Right.
I probably did 100 custody evaluations in my time, and I did a fair amount of parenting coordinator as well.
A lot of the books that you have written have been based around the work that you've been doing on family law, for example. But the book the one most recent one, the senior sex book, is that based around something that you've worked on as well in the legal sense, or what was the catalyst for the book?
Well, a couple of things. First off, I am a senior. In fact, I'll be 80 in my next birthday. But I think I also am appropriate for what you're about. I am very fit. I work out regularly and have since I was a young teen. And I'm a certified trainer. And in 24, I became a certified yoga instructor. And so I stay very fit. Occasionally,
and very supple as well with
Exactly.
the yoga.
Occasionally, my body,
Hmm.
my almost 80-year-old body will let me down, and and I get a typical thing that many seniors get, and that puts me out for a little while. I had some back issues and things of that nature.
Hmm.
Like many senior men, urological issues as well. But overall, yes, I'm amongst my peers and so on. I'm known as quite fit. In my practice, I saw numerous couples, probably at least 500 or more in my time, and many times, of course, they were um, getting on in age and so forth. Many times they were older than I was at the time, and and bedroom issues were common, very common, as a matter of fact. Plus, as I aged and so on, I saw personally what was going on, and with my friends as well. And as I say in the book, I have a very close friend, and we would meet on a regular basis, have lunch at a favorite delicatessen that we frequented. And we would have these various discussions about what's going on in our lives, and so on. He would say, you need to write about this. I ultimately I did some research, of
Right.
course. And one item in particular, I think that really triggered it, and I mention it in the book. My wife and I like to read People magazine. It's a weekly magazine that comes out in the States, and basically lets you know what's going on with the celebrities, whatever.
Yep.
I kind of scan it. Anyhow, they have this section of what's up. There was a segment about two celebrities. One a male was 62 and a female was 74, and they said that they had passed from natural causes.
Right.
No heart disease, no liver disease, no diabetes or whatever. And I went, what? Wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. And I wrote them and said, hold on. Maybe you wrote that because the people might have suicided, uh, possibly, and there was some embarrassment, although that's another topic too. But people who are 62 and 74 who have no chronic illnesses do not simply just keel over. To say it was natural causes, frankly, smacks of ageism. That was what absolutely triggered it, and I started writing shortly after that.
You said that you did some research into the book. What sort of areas were you covering in the research? What sort of things did you get involved with?
Well, I took a look at what had been written on that topic previously. And of course, I cite them in my bibliography. There had been some written and so forth. I don't think they got quite into the psychology as I do, but that plus, again, my experience in the therapy office, a half century and so forth, basically put it together.
When it comes to sex in our senior years and intimate relationships, is most of the challenges that people face, is most of it psychological? Is it that we've grown up to believe that sex is something that only young people do? That there's an age where you're not supposed to do it anymore, you're not supposed to want it anymore, and we worry as much about what other people think about as we do about what our partner may think or we may think about ourselves. Is that part of the issue?
It is. It is. Again, I can only speak from the U.S. perspective. We don't honor our seniors. It's. I know it sounds crass, but it's true. Unlike other cultures that really idolize their seniors and they take their seniors into their home and care for them, and things of that nature. We don't do that here. What we do is we make fun of them. We treat them as asexual beings. We don't like anything about elderly men or women having sex and so forth. That's kind of taboo. When we become elderly and feeble, we get shunted off into certain care facilities. That's a large part of it. And many, unfortunately, seniors buy into it. I mean, it's all over the place. So they agree. Well, I'm old and I'm not what I used to be. So why bother? Even thinking about sex and so forth. And why bother being active? Why work out? What for? Who cares? Who's looking? I really get into that in the book, and I really do believe it's happening.
It's not so much that people don't want to, and it's not so much that they're not capable of. If they look after themselves and are physically active, there's no reason why they can't also be physically active in an intimate relationship. What we're saying is that a large part of the challenges that people face are their expectation or acceptance that they're not supposed to want to. They're not supposed. That's something that younger generations do, not us. And then all of the pressures get piled onto people. Like you were saying, it's not really. Well, lots of people frown upon an older gentleman, younger lady, but also the other way around as well. We have celebrities who can almost get press coverage because they might be in their 70s, but their partner is a lot younger than them, 20, 30 years younger than them. I'm thinking Madonna, Cher. Somehow it's all right if you're a celebrity, but not if you're not.
It's more all right if the elderly one is the female than the male.
Ah,
So we have that going on as
yes,
well.
that is the thing.
You're absolutely right. The psychology you've described the psychology right on.
Right.
It's not to say, of course, that there aren't some medical or biological issues. Clearly, there are. Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah.
When you're a teenager, you're hot to trot, and so forth. Everything works and can work fine for whatever.
But this is going to be one of those real adult moments, because when you're a teenager, it's all like you say, you're hot to trot. It's all a bit flash in the pan, very over and done with. And as you get older, what I'm thinking is that, yeah, you might not be able to perform it in that same sort of way as you could in your teens, early 20s or 20s. But if you focus on the physical side of it in that sort of sense, then I'm thinking that that's probably not going to be a positive way forward for you. It's about intimacy and finding ways to express intimacy with someone that you are in an intimate relationship with.
Absolutely, that's what's important. And sometimes the medical issues might completely interfere, with traditional lovemaking.
Mm-hmm.
The rate of erectile dysfunction, with senior men, in their 70s and so on, particularly if they smoke or drink or are overweight and so on, is probably 80, 90%. Plus, women have issues as well that occur with age. Their vaginal walls are much thinner than before. They're not lubricated. It can be painful, and so on. So there are medical issues. Heart conditions, of course, can get in the way. So yes, biological factors do come into play, but just to emphasize what you were saying, that doesn't mean you still cannot be romantic with your partner.
In the book, you're explaining the issues, the challenges, the causes of those issues, which are not necessarily always with the individuals. There is a lot of societal pressure as well. And then you're also providing some ideas, I suppose, on different ways to, because as we age, our sexuality goes through different phases. And this is just another phase of our sexuality and our expression of love within an intimate relationship, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it does have to change. You can still be intimate. I mean, if the male is having problems getting or sustaining an erection, that doesn't mean that we're done.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
that's not fair. Certainly not fair to your partner. So there are things that we can certainly do. We can still hug and touch and use our hands and our and our mouth, and for that matter, little hardware sometimes might come in handy,
Yes.
vibrator or something like that, that can help your partner perhaps reach a climax that now you can't help her achieve,
Yes.
or him for that matter, depending on what kind of couple we're talking about.
Yeah.
That's a real important point, and one that I used to see it, frankly, in my office. I saw gentlemen in their 40s, 50s, who, due to various things, again, like smoking, drinking, obesity, things of that nature, or diabetes, that again inhibited them to function normally sexually. And therefore, they just shut the door. Okay, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's not fair to your partner.
Not fair to yourself either, is it, really?
Not really. No, you're a good point.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah. It's just, I suppose, one of the things from the book is that learning that your sexuality changes in terms, or how you express your sexuality changes as you age, because everything changes as you age. But there's nothing to be ashamed or embarrassed about. It is simply just, I suppose, learning for yourself, I think, what it is that you want, and having the conversations with your partner to make sure that you're both looking for the same type of thing.
Right. A lot of times, men in particular are feeling shame about this. They don't seek any help,
Yes.
which is
But the
unfortunate.
help is there, isn't it? The help is available.
Yes, there is. Yeah, there is.
And it's been going on for a long, long time, going back thousands of years, that this is an issue that affects both men and women as they age. And I suppose what you used to do all night, it now takes you all night to do, is not really a problem as long as you are understanding that as part of your aging process and maintaining your own interest and the interest of your partner as well.
Let me also mention that some of the medications that you and your partner might be taking can also have a negative impact on sexuality.
Yeah, it is a complex subject, one that people are embarrassed about discussing, but there's no reason to be, really. It's more a case of like, get educated, find out some information, talk to your general practitioner, and make sure that you find a solution that works for you and your partner.
Frankly, some physicians are even a little embarrassed to talk about some of this, and so if you are being frank and you're speaking to your physician, and he or she is kind of uncomfortable or says something like, and frankly, I've heard this pointed at myself one time, already 75, as if to say, 75, well, give it up. You should be done. And this was a physician who said this, believe it or not. Of course, not one that I see anymore, but that was clear that this was his, his perspective, his bias.
Which is exactly what we were talking about when we started, which was like all too often we fall into the trap of following the social perception, the limitations that social expectations put on the way in which we all live our lives is not actually how we want to live. And it's about understanding what you and your partner want and making sure that that happens in the way that you both want it to happen. I suspect in lots of ways, it's a liberating experience. I get the feeling from the book and from what you're saying that understanding how your expression of your sexuality as you age is changing and understanding that can be quite liberating for people.
Yes, it is. Obviously, it changes. And like you said, it takes longer, it's slower, it doesn't happen perhaps as often. Your appetite changes, but all of that doesn't mean that you still can't have intimacy.
Yes.
You can talk to your doctor to get help. You can also talk to the doctor about what are the sexual side effects of the medicines that you're on, and might there be an alternative. You can also think about, if you take your medicine, let's say in the morning, that maybe you want to schedule some intimacy earlier in the morning before you take that pill, which is going to have its most powerful effect shortly after you've taken it. If you're having, let's say, struggling with arthritis and you're very stiff and so forth, maybe take a hot morning, shower or bath, and then have some intimacy when you're a little more mobile, if you will. There are, again, things that can be done that can enhance the intimacy in a senior couple, and it's important. It really is.
It is. It is. Dr. Waldman, it has been very interesting. I really do appreciate your time and the insights that you've given us into sexuality as we age. Your book is Silver Sex: Insights into Senior Sexuality. But for today, thank you very much. I do appreciate your time.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity.
It's been great. I am Michael Millward, the Managing Director of Abacida, and in this episode of Fit for My Age, I have been having a conversation with Dr. Larry Waldman, author of the book Silver Sex: Insights into Senior Sexuality. You can find out more information about both of us by using the links in the description. You'll also find links which will take you through to online shops where you can purchase Silver Sex. I'm sure that you will have enjoyed listening to this episode of Fit for My Age as much as Dr. Waldman and I have enjoyed making it. Please give it a like and download it so you can listen anytime, anywhere. To make sure you don't miss out on future episodes, please subscribe. You will probably also want to tell your friends, family and work colleagues about this episode of Fit for My Age as well. Remember, the aim of all the podcasts produced by Abacida is not to tell you what to think, but we do hope to have made you think. Until the next episode of Fit for My Age, thank you for listening and goodbye.